The European Talent Cup is ready and raring to go for another action-packed weekend here at Misano with 2 races and 50 points up for grabs. The ETC riders always put on the show with last lap battles becoming common in the championship, which couldn't be any closer. Fernando Barrosa and Alex Longarella lead into this weekend tied on points, with every point proven to be pivotal in this title race. Make sure you don't miss anything as the field prepares to race in this 4.23km circuit, which is known for putting champions in the shop window. Located near the circuit, near the city of Rimini, the Misano World Circuit, Marco Simoncelli is always a rider favourite circuit, and after what we saw at Aragon, we're in store for another cracker, this time on the Adriatic coast. Well, looking back at Misano just a few weeks ago, it was all action at Aragon for the European Talent Cup. With just one race to settle the scores, tension was high, and as the lights went out, there was a huge group of riders that began to form at the front, with Alvaro Lucas and Fernando Barrosa getting involved in the fight. Carlos Cano soon took control of things. He'd fight his way through the field after sitting outside the podium positions in the early laps. Fernando Barrosa launching down the inside of Lucas, dropping him back 1 position. Cano, though, hit the front nice and early on as the fights continued, with everything building towards another last lap showdown in classic European Talent Cup fashion. It went down to the final lap and soon went down to the final corner. Fernando Barrosa would have some hairy moments, but everything would be decided in a nice clean result. Everyone stayed on board in the closing laps. Barrosa, though, would get the perfect launch out the final corner and winning at Motorland once again. The 69 took victory. But now we're here in Misano. We're here for round 5 of the European Talent Cup season. 2 races on the schedule here today, and we've already had some European Talent Cup action. My name's Lewis Ray. I'm bringing you through all the action this weekend. It's going to be myself and Jack Amy. And well, Jack, we've seen some interesting action this morning. They've already had a last chance race, which we'll get into pretty soon. But from what we've seen from that action, once again, looking to be very, very close in the European Talent Cup.
It will be very close in ETC this week, and particularly in this race. 15 laps coming up at Misano. It's a circuit with plenty of overtaking opportunities anyway. But I would also like to talk about qualifying yesterday. Fernando Barrosa looked like he had pole in the bag. He had a huge margin to the riders behind. He went out in Group A. He set the reference. Carlos Cano, until his last lap, was nowhere near Barrosa's time, and he pulled it out of the bag to claim pole here at Misano. It was, even before the racing had started, it was an incredible fight for P1.
Yeah, the 72 Artbox racing team really know how to spot a talent, and while Carlos Cano, well, he's proved himself already in the European Talent Cup, of course, running the #1 plate this season. But Carlos Cano starting on pole position alongside Fernando Barrosa, and of course Borelli will join the front row. We'll bring you through the entire grid a little bit closer to the time, but the championship is tied at the top as we have a look at yesterday.
I do a perfect work this weekend with the team, and yes, I do a perfect lap, a missing lap, and well, I'm ready for tomorrow for these 2 races, and I do my best tomorrow.
Cano starts from pole. He's going to aim to do his best here today, and well, you would definitely think so. Cano sits P4 in the championship as things stand, a little bit off the leaders at the front, 28 points away from the championship lead. But the championship lead, Fernando Barrosa and Alex Longarella. Now, we'll get into Longarella because he's starting not where he normally would, but in terms of points, 0 points separating them, tied at the top here in the European Talent Cup, plus Alvaro Lucas just 8 points behind. 8 points separating the top three. What a race we're in for here today.
We are in for a barnstorming race. Longarella will have to move forward from P23 on the grid if he's not going to lose out too much to his rivals. It's a good chance for Cano to put himself right in contention as well at this late stage of the season, because if he can take a big points gain on Longarella, he'll be right there after this race and potentially after race 2 as well.
Yeah, it will be, and well, it's all going to be on what points they can pick up here today. You can see how focused they are on the grid. That, of course, being Fernando Bajosa. Now, he starts P2, first in the championship as things stand, is the number 16. 3 wins to his name so far this season, 1 at Estoril, 1 at Magny-Cours, and 1 at Aragon. So, well, he's clearly shown that he can be fast at plenty of different circuits, and he'll be looking to add Misano to his collection here today.
It was his best qualifying result of the season. He'd only been off the front row once. That was at Jerez, and that was the only circuit he didn't take victory at. But he'll be hoping he can convert that into a 4th win of the season and take advantage of Longarella being well down the order.
And well, Christian Borelli, how impressive is this? P14 in the championship, 1 podium so far in 2025 to his name. That, of course, coming at Magny-Cours, where it was slightly different conditions to today, I think it's fair to say. But Christian Borelli, so impressive on the front row in dry conditions and in front of his home crowd.
He has taken a big step in recent rounds. 5th on the grid at Magny-Cours. He was 11th in his qualifying 2 group at Aragon, but was disqualified. Back of the grid start for slow sectors. Front row on home soil. We'll be looking for that 2nd podium of the season.
Now, you mentioned some back of the starters as we look at Lorenzo Pertelli on the screen. Now, there's plenty of housekeeping, as is starting fashion in the ETC. But looking at this race, we have a few back of the grid penalties. That being the number 23 of Galan, Tineth, the number 77, Osorio on the number 94, Perez on the number 12. Perez and Ruz will start at the back of the grid as the replacement riders, or reserve riders, if you will, after winning the last chance race earlier on. But in terms of penalties, Galan, Tineth and Osorio all getting penalised in qualifying, and, well, Tineth as well, given 1 long lap penalty to go through. So 3 penalties, and obviously we have our 2 riders from the last chance race.
Yeah, lots of work to do for Galan, Tinez and Osorio. For Tinez, he has the extra long lap because it was his 2nd offence of the season. The first also came this weekend. So he's had 2 penalties this weekend, so he's got that extra long lap to go with it. For Galan and Osorio, it's just a back of the grid start. No long lap to go with it, so they'll be hoping they can make quick progress over the opening couple of laps. Yeah, exactly, and it's something we've seen over the past couple of years as we see Karpushin on the grid. But the Stuart's clamping down on slow sectors and clamping down on slow riding, especially during qualifying sessions. Well, it is a real positive, to be honest, because it does mean riders get on with things and do their own running, and that's pretty much what Carlos Cano was doing yesterday. A couple of benchmarkers occasionally in qualifying, some nice references in front of him, with the likes of Karpushin actually being one of them yesterday. But nonetheless, he still isn't a rider that you would normally see looking for a tow and getting penalised for it. No, he likes to go on his own or within a very small group of riders. It's okay going in a group, you get the benefit of slipstream, of course, but then if there's an issue in that group, you might get held up by someone going slightly wide or deciding that the lap's not good enough and rolling off. So it is trying to find the compromise between having a lot of slipstream and not being held up by a big group. And Cano tends to go to the opposite end of the scale. He doesn't want a huge slipstream because he knows he's got the pace to go on his own for the majority of the time. And well, Alvaro Lucas, P7 on the grid. 3rd row of the grid, for P3 in the championship. What can he do from there, of course? He's took a win so far this season, took a couple more podiums. You have to say he's in good form heading into Misano. Very consistent throughout the season. 4th is his worst finish on 3 occasions. He did have a retirement in race 2 at Jerez. We'll be hoping to get back on the podium, of course, but he is consistent, and especially with Longarella being further back, he doesn't necessarily need a podium finish, although he will want to make sure he doesn't lose too much to Barbosa.
Mario Landa we're looking at as things stand. He goes alongside in P8. Ramadipa as well. We should hopefully see in a few moments' time on that third row. A nice competitive field here. And once again, the European Talent Cup oversubscribed. It's something we see time and time again. Only 30 riders on this grid. Only 30 riders can take the start in this grid as the 3-minute board is up in the air. Meaning the field, well, the mechanics will start making their way off the grid and the field can start getting focused as we have a look at Ramadipa. 1 win and 2 podiums so far this year.
Speaking of looking focused, the Indonesian rider looks very focused on the grid there. Eyes just looking ahead of him, making sure he knows what's in his head, what his plan is. Obviously, executing a plan completely different from having a plan because you don't know what other riders are going to do. But he looked very focused.
Yeah, he does, and well, you just know in his head, all he's thinking about is that race start. There's nothing else to think about. There's nothing else worth thinking about at this stage. Matteo Gabarini now on the grid, just sorting out his gloves before he gets going. Make sure he's nice and comfortable. The team as well look ready to rock and roll for this one. He starts from the 4th row of the grid. And he'll be hoping to move forward from there, but there is some big names further down the order, as we mentioned, with Longarella in P23. He's got a lot of work to do, but he's going to have to just get his elbows out on these first couple of laps if he wants to continue to fight for this championship and at least getting the points nice and early on.
He is, yeah. He'll have to make moves pretty much every overtaking opportunity. Turn 1, obviously the key one at the start of the race. Turn 4 is a pinch point. You can make up ground there. It's also, because it's a pinch point, risky. You can get involved in someone else's accident, for example. After that, La Quercia, turn 8. Throughout the whole race, we will see plenty of passes there. And then after that, turns 9 and 10, you can make the move. Then it's about the run through turn 11, 12, 13, and 14.
Savino as well, nice and focused on the grid. No podiums yet to his name, but he does start on the edge of that 4th row. We're bringing through the entire grid in just a few moments' time as the field continue to get ready. Well, the 1-minute board is up, and Carlos Cano will be preparing to start from pole position. Fernando Barbosa and Borelli start from the front row. Bertelli, Gutierrez, and Karpushin take up row 2, with Lucas, Mariolanda, and Ramadipa rounding off our front 3 rows. Gabarini rounds out the top 10 alongside Tassini and Savino on row 4, while Borg, Da Costa, and Mikey Lou Sanchez rounds out our top 15 on row 5. Almeida, Dakagan, and Rodriguez takes up the front couple of rows. While Nativi Garcia rounds out our top 20. San Juan in P21 with Rodriguez. Alex Longarella in P23. Tamburini rounding out row 8. Miroslav Boxberger and Veroli taking up P27. While Galantinez and Osorio round out our top 30. Jack, we're nearly ready to go. We're heading out on our green flag lap now. But what race we're in store for? A nice long race for the ETC riders. 15 laps coming up.
15 laps, and it's going to be non-stop action. Elbows will be out everywhere. As we mentioned, plenty of overtaking opportunities at this circuit in any class, but especially in ETC where the field is so close and so competitive.
Yeah, it's one of the closest classes that we have all year long. And well, if you don't believe us, just look at the championship standings. We're on the warm-up lap at the moment, and you can see the championship standings coming up right on cue. Barbosa from Longarella tied at the top of the standings. Lucas in 8 points behind in P3, and Carlos Cano. This is another opportunity to try and claw back some points here today, especially if the likes of Longarella has a bad race.
Exactly. Cano has a good chance to gain on Longarella. He does have a chance to gain on Barbosa as well. That will obviously be tougher because we know Barbosa is starting from second alongside him. Longarella has to fight through the field, but the championship will probably close up between the top 4 at the end of this race.
Yeah, you would expect so, and just a few more races remain this season. We're really in the crunch time, the crunch point of the year, and where things start to get serious. And the point of the year where you start to think about championship points. You start to think about if it's worth doing a last corner move and potentially risking a crash, or if you just accept 20 points.
A safe second is better than going for a P1 and crashing out. 20 points invaluably better than 0, especially at this stage of the season well, there's not a lot of time to recover. We have 4 races left, including this one, before we end the 2025 season. And with 8 points between the top 3, 23 points between the top 4, you can't afford to risk those 5 points because the loss is more than the gain.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about risk versus reward here in the European Talent Cup. It's their final doubleheader, if you will. It's their final weekend where they'll have 2 races in one weekend at Catalonia and at Valencia. It's just going to be one sole race for the class. Carlos Cano rolls into pole position. 25 points to battle for. There's actually some waving there at the back of the grid for the number 55. So hopefully no issues here for him, as it looks like actually he's going to be removed from the grid. So the 55, Michael Sanchez, having some issues there. The bike's getting brought back into the pit lane. So drama here at the start of the European Talent Cup. It looks like we are now ready to go. Carlos Cano goes racing from pole. 25 points up for grabs. 100 points left in 2025. How will this play out? We go racing. It's lights out for race 1 of ETC. A good start there from the number 69 of Bajosa. A bad start for Carlos Cano. Where's he going to slot into on the run to turn 1? P4 is the answer. P5 even. He looks to attack though. But round the outside, that looks to be number 14 trying to make a move there at turn 3. He gets that one made, he makes it stick as we'll wait to see what the likes of Alex Longarello can do from further back down the order. But it's Fernando Bajosa who leads the way, leads the field on this opening lap. A nice clean start from the ETC.
Yes, absolutely. And Bajosa, the perfect start for the number 69. He's built up a bit of a gap to Borelli. Borelli got off the line really well as well, heading into turn 1. Bajosa just able to claim P1 ahead of the home hero. But it looks like the number 7 on the inside into turn 8, under braking, claiming the lead of the race at this very early stage.
Well, he cemented that move there on the opening lap. Christian Borelli, he started from the front row. He started alongside Bajosa on the grid, but now he's ahead of him. Now the 69's looking at his number 7's tailpipe. Longarella already inside the points in this opening lap. It's very, very important to see what he's going to do. Carlos Cano continuing to struggle on this opening lap of things, continuing to struggle on lap 1. Hopefully he can settle into things and collect some crucial points, perhaps get back into this podium fight. Now Gutierrez, the number 14, watches this fight ahead of him and watches this fight with Bajosa for first place. This Joan at the front as 6-9 goes down the inside at turn 14. He's made that one work. He is going to run wide though. Christian Borelli looks to find a way through as he heads turn 50. He's on the outside. That is move made. That is a response for Fernando Bajosa.
It's been an incredible opening lap for the number 69, reclaiming P1 there at turn 14. We did mention it earlier. It looked like someone ran very wide at the back of the shot there. We mentioned it earlier, turn 14 is a crucial overtaking spot. And we've also got notification. Tinez can take his long lap penalty to go with his back of the grid start. He moved up to 25th on that opening lap.
Yeah, he's moved up to 25th, but he's going to lose around 3 seconds going through that long lap. Of course, the long lap penalty here at Misano, it's located over at turn 10. Gutierrez looking up the inside, and he makes that one work at turn 4. Through he goes. And, well, that is job done. Now through turn 5 towards turn 6 and back on the power. Turn 7, it's not much of a corner on these machines. It's flat out. It's just a kink in the straight before the heavy braking zone of turn 8 as he looks up the inside. Borelli back through. So Borelli second, Carlos Cano up into 4th and beginning to lurk for a podium position.
Cano has closed the gap up into the top 3. He's right on the back of Borelli. Actually, just a few tenths separating the top 4 or 5 riders at this point. Borelli on the inside. Cano is also, that was close heading through turn 10, as I think that was Gutierrez running slightly wide. Borelli up into P2 with Cano now in the podium places.
Yeah, Gutierrez just slightly wide, but that's slightly wide. He's dropped him all the way down to P5, potentially P6, as almost on the inside of the curb there, actually, trying to overtake him. Looks to be one of the riders as, well, Alvaro Lucas gets involved further back. Cano now drops another position after just getting through on the 67. He responds straight away. Through at turn 14 he goes. Now, Carlos Cano up into P3 once again, up into the podium places, and this is where his work can really begin. This is where his work can start. The 67 though of Pratelli. What a great launch for him. The number 4 also involved in the fight as he runs wide off the circuit at the final corner.
Tassini making ground up on that opening lap, running into, he's just dropped down to P6 after running slightly wide. Still Bajosa at the front. Longarella, 13th, with the fastest lap of the race so far. He was around 4 tenths quicker than Barbosa on that last lap. He's starting to close them in, only 2.2 seconds away from P1.
Yeah, so Longarella clearly sorted things out from qualifying yesterday. And you can see there the number 45, fastest lap of the race, a new best race lap as well. But Longarella, he's going to be making his way through the order. Some moves also being made. Ramadipa up into P9, Alvaro Lucas in 4th. But is a move now going to be made towards turn 8 now? Into the braking zone they'll head. It'll be further back down the order. He has made that one work, actually. You can just see him in the back of the shot. Alvaro Lucas under some pressure as well. You can run wide on the exit of turn 8 if you really want to. It just depends if you're actually going to be able to make some time and carry the corner speed you need.
We just see Lucas making the move there to head into, I think that's P5, sorry. No, sorry, it is P4. He is up into the top 4. Yeah, turn 8, you can run wide. You can take different lines and not lose time to your rivals, which makes it a crucial corner. We see a battle for the lead. It's Borelli now ahead of Barbosa through turn 11.
Christian Borelli, how was he able to do that? I mean, round the outside at Curvone, simply impressive stuff. Lucas, once again though, on the green in the background. These ETC riders really need to be careful about track limits.
They do. Going on the green will give you a track limits warning. You can't go on too much. Borelli very close to the green there, and he maybe slightly touched it. You can go on the blue. That is not deemed a track limits offence. And obviously if you run on the green on the final lap, you will be demoted 1 place.
Yeah, he'll be demoted 1 position as Carlos Cano tries to demote the riders in front 1 position, but he can't make that work. Fastest lap of the race going his way so far, 1:45.225 this time for Carlos Cano. New best race lap once again. We'll see this being the theme across the day. It's just over 24 degrees air temp. Track temp though rising near 38. Carlos Cano down the inside. He goes into 2nd position and ahead of Fernando Barbosa. The attack really starts now as he looks to hunt down Christian Borelli in P1. Can he line up a move at turn 8? Let's wait and find out.
It looks like he got a good run. Barbosa fighting back right on the inside curve through turn 7. 3 abreast heading into the braking zone. Cano on the outside takes P1. Barbosa 2nd with Borelli in 3rd.
Yeah, Carlos Cano, great move there. Some great racecraft as well. He knew exactly where he needed to be out on the circuit. He could sweep round the outside. Christian Borelli, though, looking for an attack over at turn 9 and turn 10. He can't make that one work, though. Is that going to affect his drive? Heading on to the back straight. We're going to have to wait and find out. Alvaro Lucas lurking as well. And alongside, of course, Pertelli on the 67. But free wide nearly at Curvone is exactly what we want to see. It's close racing out on track. Carlos Cano doing his best to defend out here on the circuit. Fernando Barbosa looking up the inside, and he will slot into 2nd position. So up 1 position after all that drama down the back straight.
Incredible fighting through the back straight and Curvone. We just see Longarella up to P11. The gap to P1 is still around 2.2 seconds, so he's not actually gaining on the leaders at this stage. 2 riders going very wide onto the green at turn 15 there as Cano crosses the line to lead onto lap 5.
Yeah, Cano comes across the line. Will it be a new fastest lap of the race? It was certainly a quick lap nonetheless. But you can see the 45 in this group. The 45 of Alex Longarella is in this fight. It's not over just yet, just behind Gutierrez, who a few laps ago was fighting for a podium position. It's classic ETC action, where one lap you're battling for a podium, next lap you're outside of the top 10.
Absolutely, Gutierrez has dropped down the order so far. But just note on Longarella, we see
massive moment there from the rider as he drops down the order. That looks to be Ramadipa. So Ramadipa outside the top 10 he'll go, and that's going to affect his drive even more. A massive moment, and then to set up the bike and run it off the circuit at turns 4 and 5. Yeah,
that'll put him under pressure from the riders behind. I just wanted to go back to Longarella when I said the gap was stable at 2.2. He gained 6 tenths after I said that. It's now 1.6. He's very much in this lead group.
Yeah, and well, he's definitely in this lead group, and he's definitely on the attack. Even he's looking up the inside over at turns 9 and 10. As we get on the power once more, we build up momentum, we build up some speed towards Curvone. Who's it going to be leading this way? Who's it going to be leading at the line to make it 10 laps remaining? The laps tick down thick and fast here as we have a little look at this moment for Ramadipa. Tips in. And the bike did give him a little warning before the rear came round him and tried to high side him, but somehow he stayed on. An incredible save from the number 32.
He did very well to keep that on 2 wheels heading into turn 5. Cano still leading at the front, but there's not much to choose between our top 5, who just seem to have a bit of a breakaway ahead of Karpushin.
Now heading on to the start-finish straight, heading on to lap 6 to make it 10 laps remaining here in the European Talent Cup. The number 1 continues to lead the field through. Fernando Bajosa up the inside. He looks, can the 69 make it work? No, he cannot. We've seen a couple of moves so far here today. We're able just to stick it around the outside over at turn 2, and suddenly you have the inside line for turn 3. It's exactly what we love about the Misano World Circuit. The flip-flops, the changes of direction, and moves, and real dive bomb opportunities.
Absolutely, everything lends itself to good racing here. We just see the graphic for Longarella. Started 23rd, now P8, 1.5 seconds away from P1. Actually, he's just moved into P7 ahead of Gutierrez. So Longarella, don't count him out for a podium position here.
Yeah, he's really got a little bit of ground to do. He has to get through car pushing, but then after that, it's all going to be on pushing on the pace to try and catch to this front group of riders. 5 riders in this front group. A good lap for Alvaro Lucas last time around. He was a couple times quicker actually from car pushing, but similar times to what Longarella was doing. So with Longarella's pace, he should be able to at least match them, if not begin to catch them, if he can get through on car pushing in a few laps time. Bajosa now at the front of the field. 3 wide going into Carvone, and while things settle down, and it is going to be Pertelli who now takes the lead, and Carlos Cano drops back to second. Fernando Bajosa down to fourth actually, potentially P5 if Alvaro Lucas has his way. Down the inside once again, the 69 comes through, and that is job done. That's back into the podium positions. Corners changing, absolutely everything. Positions changing at every opportunity.
Always the case in ETC, but especially at Misano. An incredible race between the top 5. They have pulled out a gap at the front. Longarella ahead of car pushing. He was half a second quicker than the number 17 last time out. We just wait to see what the lap time was. This time he was 3 times quicker than Carl Pushin, and he was half a second slower than Pertelli at the front, despite their battling.
Yeah, Pertelli setting the fast lap of the race. That wasn't necessarily an average lap for Longarella, because he was still 2 tenths quicker than Cano and Bajosa, who were fighting away. And well, Pertelli, he was able to take advantage of that slipstream, and he'll have to do that again this time around, because he's dropped all the way back down to 3rd in just 1 corner, turn 4. Deciding things here in the European Talent Cup. Carlos Cano hits the front yet again, and will Fernando Bajosa in the slipstream yet again. Towards turn 8 we go. Will there be a dive bomb? Will there be a cheeky look up the inside? Christian Borelli looking for a move to be made up into P2 now. So it's Cano from Borelli, and Fernando Bajosa setting in 3rd with Alvaro Lucas in P4.
Just settling down, but it's going to ignite again, heading into turn 9. Borelli on the inside of Cano at turn 10 to take lead, but he is wide. Can Cano cut back? He can. Cano into P1, Bajosa up to P2. Borelli was briefly P1, now 3rd, but on a good run heading into Cavone.
No chance to catch our breath here in the European Talent Cup. 3 wide going into Carvone. Who's going to come out on top? This is the battle for 2nd as things stand. Before the attack, Cano, it was Alvaro Lucas who was bravest. He was on the inside line going through Carvone. He was able to pip off both of them. And now he'll set sights on his old sparring rival, Cano. There is Alex Longarella. Mikey Lou Sanchez, though, has had a crash further down the order. A big, big shame for him. So he's all the way back down to P30 of the running order. But Carlos Cano leading the way, and there is Mikey Lou Sanchez jumping across the tyre wall back to safety. So great to see.
Great to see he's okay. Obviously, he had the issue on the grid where he was taken into pit lane, and now a crash. So a very disappointing race for the American. See at the front, Carlos Cano, P1. Bajosa, the inside of turn 2, a very unusual place to make the move, looking for P2. Holds it through turn 3, but the run to turn 4 is a very short run, but it could be crucial here. Lucas on the inside, Bajosa holds position.
Savino as well, now entering the pit lane. So some issues for him out on circuit. Hopefully he can get it sorted for later on, because there is your live championship classifications. 10 points it's going to be that Fernando Bajosa leads if things stay as was here in Misano, and the checker flag waves in just 8 laps time. But Carlos Cano, he's doing a great job at defending here. I think he's trying to work out not only where he can be quick, but where he can defend and make it impossible for any last lap moves to be made on him as well. Fernando Bajosa looks up the inside, but no room in the end this time around as well. More moves get made, and that looks like Pertelli looking for an opportunity.
Yeah, Pertelli was looking through turns 9 and 10. You can make a move there, but there are 2 different lines. You can take a tighter one or a wider one. They're not necessarily slower than each other. It's just a preference you have. 4 wide heading into Cavone. Cano leading Lucas as it stands, but that will change heading into turn 14. Longarella looks to be closing up. 1.1 now to Cano out in front.
Yeah, continuing to put on the pace. A 145.4 last time around. The TV also crashing out of this one, and Fernando Barroso does drop back one position, and there is number 9 through the long laps. That's turn 10 that he's crashed. Let's see how this happened. As well, the TV into the braking zone he does go, and just fold in the front. Held on to it for a long, long time. His leg actually getting trapped under the bike briefly. That'll be why he was limping away from that one. But he was on 2 feet unassisted, so good to see him up on his feet. Hopefully he can get sorted later on. And Fernando Barroso, once again, pulling off that move at turn 2. It's something we've only seen Grand Prix stars be able to do, and being able to pull off such an impressive move, and definitely a move that's possible on these smaller ETC machines. But Alvaro Lucas looking up the inside, and that's because Bertelli is in third. A track limits warning as well for your number 45 of Longarella, and that's what happens when you come from so far back.
It is, and he'll have to be very careful for the second half of the race not to exceed track limits anymore. But he's now within a second of the lead. It's a 7-rider group for P1, covered by just over a second. Karpushin running in 7th as Cano leads through turn 8.
Track temperature near 38 degrees Celsius. These riders, it's no issue for them. Fernando Barroso looks up the inside yet again, but he isn't going to get that one done. He's better off just sitting, waiting, and using the slipstream and just aiming to get a good drive out of turn 10. So that's what he's going to do now on the number 69. And you can see Bertelli looking to get his teeth into second position. He has made that one work already before we even arrive at Curvone. And well, the fans around this Misano World Circuit will be loving this action. As well, Alvaro Lucas tries to get involved. Bertelli standing his ground, but nobody able yet to make an indent on Cano's lead as Barroso responds yet again. They don't want to fight too much, because this could allow the number 1 to begin just to edge away and eke out a little gap.
Cano seems to have enough of a gap where he's not vulnerable into the heavy braking zones or the long slipstream areas of this circuit, but he can't pull a gap yet. But if the squabbling behind him continues, he will start to edge away. Actually, it looks like Barroso has started to pull away a little bit from Bertelli across the line. And is he close enough to make a move into turn 1? Not quite. Very close to the back of Cano there.
And Longarella trying the classic Fernando Barroso move at turn 2. Is unable to make that one work though, so he slots back into P4 just ahead of Alvaro Lucas. But it's fair to say, even though Longarella started P23, he's well and truly in the mix, and he's not out of contention for this race win with 6 laps remaining. But Fernando Barroso, this is the closest he's been in many, many laps. In fact, this is the closest anyone has been to the rear of Carlos Cano. Can he make it work at turn 8? Because it looks like Longarella is going to slot into the podium positions at turn 8. He goes down the inside of Bertelli, and it does look like he'll make that one stick. But Barroso trying to line up and move and trying to get as close as possible. And the 45 has got through. So into the podium positions goes Longarella with 6 laps remaining. It's Bertelli who fights back.
Bertelli fighting back through turn 10 to demote Longarella back into P4. But as you say, he's not out of this. Just 2 tenths separating the top 4 as it stands. Just note on lap times as well. Barroso with a 1:45.6 last time around. He was 3 tenths quicker than Cano and Bertelli. Longarella, though, a 1:45.4.
It's a game of high-speed chess, and you can see 3 wide, heavy in the braking zone as well. Somehow, no contact being made. And after all that, it's going to be Bertelli in the lead, Barroso in second, and well, Carlos Cano, he's back down to P4. So Carlos Cano, after we were just talking about him not getting overtaken, suddenly he's behind Alex Longarella after that lap of action. 5 laps now remains, a high-speed game of chess at the head of this field. And what's going to happen is Longarella looks up the inside of Fernando Barroso on the run to turn 1. Can Barroso complete his legendary turn 2 move? This time, though, on Longarella. No, he cannot is the answer, and Carlos Cano had to slot back into 4th as well.
Yeah, Longarella just slightly ahead. Cano looked like he had a bit of a moment coming through turn 3. Held it together on the inside, defending into turn 4. Squirrely again under braking. He just about again keeps it upright, running in P4, but he is pushing very hard to get back into the podium places.
Yeah, he's pushed as hard as he can, a slide on the front and then the rear coming through turn 3. But Carlos Cano, no real dramas as of yet. Of course, tyre wear has become a factor in these ETC races. As down the inside goes Fernando Barroso. Through back into the lead and continuing to change positions is this top 6 or 7 riders. Another big moment for Ramadipa further down the order. Some contact made. Somehow the 32 stays on it seems like no matter what he does, he's able to stay on 2 wheels. Another big moment now from Bahosa as Carlos Cano also runs wide through that complex. And now coming towards Curvone. Who's it going to be coming out on top? Pertelli leads the field through. Carlos Cano back into second. Bahosa's redeemed himself back into P3 as well. And will Karpushin, the number 70, also involved in this fight.
Karpushin, yeah, it looked like Karpushin had lost out a few laps ago, but he's right back in the mix here. Currently in P5. Cano into P1 through turn 14, but nothing to choose between the top 7 or 8 riders at this stage of the race.
It's the ETC shuffle. We're about to go and make it 4 laps remaining. A big moment. Some riders running onto the green yet again. I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see some track limit warnings coming up on our screens. As things stand, though, it would be the 69 leading by 6 points as well. Carlos Cano using a lot of the curb there as another move comes at turn 2 from Fernando Bahosa. He's trying to get that championship margin even higher ahead of race 2. And I think if anything, he's trying to stop Carlos Cano from escaping at the front.
That seems to be his main aim. We did see Borelli run very wide in turn 15. He has a track limits warning. He's running in this lead group, so keep an eye on that. If he runs onto the green, a penalty could be incoming for the Italian. The run into turn 8, Fernando Bahosa right on the back of Carlos Cano, number 69 and the number 1, side by side, under braking. Carlos Cano holds it around the outside to keep P1 for now.
Brave stuff from Carlos Cano, and now, well, he's going to be leading the field into turn 9 and then tipping it into turn 10. They get the bike set up perfectly. Longarella on the inside of Alvaro Lucas, but Alvaro Lucas trying to use all the corner speed he can on that Aspar machine, but he is going to lose out on that position. Karpushin as well, just behind them in this fight. But Bahosa in the slipstream once more. It looks like a move could be made this time, though, for Christian Borelli on the number 7, as Bahosa does have a little peek up the inside for turn 11, but thinks better of it and thinks that perhaps there's going to be a better opportunity very wide there from Alvaro Lucas on the entry to turn 14.
Yeah, it looked like Lucas ran onto the green 2 or 3 times on that lap, so potentially something to keep an eye on through there. And Ramadipa as well on the exit of turn 15 running wide. Lucas currently P6 as Cano leads across line, but Bahosa right there again. He will be looking for that famous turn 2 move to take the lead. He doesn't make the move at turn 1, but very close behind. We just wait to see what happens at turn 2 as we see Longarella run slightly wide. Cano holds lead out of turn 3.
Yeah, Longarella losing 1 or 2 positions there. He's at risk now of losing another place to Alvaro Lucas as they head into the braking zone of turn 4, and he has. So just running wide at turn 1, that affects your line going into turn 2, which affects your speed going through turn 3, and then suddenly by the time you've arrived at turn 4, you've lost a couple tenths of a second.
It's very easy to lose a lot of time in that first sector because one corner flows into another. We look at turn 8, it's Cano versus Bahosa again. No move from the number 69 this time, opting to slot in behind his rival for now.
It's fireworks here in Misano. It's exactly what we expected to happen. The front 2 edging away from the rest of the field, but no moves being made, sitting in line inside the top 2. Meanwhile, this podium battle continuing to heat up. 4 riders, potentially even more, because Longarella has the pace. And still, number 32 of Ramadipa involved in this one. But it's Bahosa who looks up the inside at Curvone, side by side, all the way through turn 11. And Carlos Cano, crucially, onto the green. And that is going to be a big moment if he keeps doing that. As well, now looking for a moment, it's wide once more for Alvaro Lucas. He keeps it on the black stuff, though he doesn't go on the green this time around as we come towards penultimate laps. A few more corners before we come to complete and head on to lap 14.
Yeah, Alvaro Lucas was on the green once again, so I suspect at least a warning is coming his way very soon as we head on to lap 14 of 15. Bahosa looks like he's got a bit of an advantage over Cano compared to when it was the other way around on the run into turn 1 last time. And Cano dives up the inside at turn 1. Is he going to run slightly wide? He is, but he holds it through turn 2. He blocks Bahosa's traditional move. Turn 3, side by side. Cano with the inside line, keeping P1 as Bahosa has a huge moment on the exit.
Yeah, Bahosa losing the rear briefly there. Is that going to invite Borelli? It did briefly, but he thought better of it, did the Italian, trying to find a better way to make a move work. But this is where all talking stops. This is where all trying to get a good plan for the final couple of laps stop, and it's all just full-on attack here in ETC. Looking up the inside, it's going to be Bahosa, but will he make the move work? Will he release the brake? It's going to be Cano sweeping from the outside yet again. Time and time again, the number one is able to make that work, and the number one is able to hold on to position. Alvaro Lucas, though, briefly into third. Losing now out to Pertelli, but Pertelli now looking up the inside of Bahosa into second position. Will he make that one work? Will he slot into the slipstream of Cano? No, he won't just yet. And towards Corvone we go yet again.
The lap before, we mentioned about Carlos Cano and Fernando Bahosa putting out a gap. That's gone. That has gone on this lap. A couple of riders running around, including Alvaro Lucas again on the green. So he'll definitely be getting something from the stewards at some point. Pertelli and Cano side by side into turn 14. Cano takes the lead under braking for at Curva del Carro. Can he hold it through the final couple of corners of this lap and then the final lap?
Saddle up, it's time for last lap here in the European Talent Cup. It's going to be Carlos Cano who leads the field onto the final lap. But like we've seen so far today here at Misano, it's not decided until the checker flag. It's not decided until out of the final corner. Pertelli, unless to look up the inside. Can Bahosa do anything? Or is it going to be Lucas doing the move? No, it will not. They stay in line as things stand. And just dropping back looks to be the number 4. So Tassini looks to be out of this one. The top 5, anyone can well and truly win this. Bahosa up the inside, he goes at turn 4. He doesn't run too wide, and now he tries to chase Carlos Cano, who's built an advantage on his final lap.
Cano has taken full advantage of the squabbling behind him to build up enough of a gap to at least not have to defend into turn 8. The run from turn 10, that gap will close massively heading into turn 16. We see turn 14, sorry. Alvaro Lucas making the move into P3. It did look like he was going to try for P2, but settles it into P3, although the different lines converging on the exit of La Quercia.
Everything settling down, it seems, within the battle for P1, but the battle for second and third, well and truly fired up. Alvaro Lucas still looking for a way through, as well Alex Longarella. He's got himself now battling with Ramadipa for P8 out on circuit, so not what he'd be hoping for at all. But Pertelli, a great run out the final corner using the slipstream. What can the 67 do? He's going to be looking for a move. He's going to be looking for an opportunity towards turns 13 and turns 14. And will Alvaro Lucas sitting there lurking in third, looking up the inside now of Bahosa. Bahosa looking for the opportunity for it. Looks like Carlos Cano has been impeccable on this last lap. Just one more corner separates the number 1 from victory in ETC Race 1. Carlos Cano exits the final corner. It is going to be victory in Race 1 here at Misano. Second position goes the way of Pertelli. So Pertelli, after starting from P4, slots into second with Fernando Bahosa in third. Alvaro Lucas and Car Podium round out your top 5, but a great ride for Carlos Cano. No errors on that final lap, and a wave to the fans, a wave to the marshals. P1, say the 72 Art Box Racing team. It's been a great morning so far for them. Thumbs up as well from the number 70 of Car Podium as we have a look at our championship standings. Bahosa leads Longarella, 8 points separate them in the championship. Alvaro Lucas sits in third. And Carlos Cano, well, now 14 points behind. He's now reduced that. And, well, P4 in the championship isn't looking too far away. He knows how important that is for the championship. He knows that was a big result. 110 points to his name in the championship so far in 2025. And a massive wheelie to begin his celebrations. Of course, we cannot forget Aragon, where Carlos Cano took a P6. Took a P6 over the line. Actually, it was the second place. P6 at Magny-Cours after crashing out, of course. So it's been a tough couple of rounds. He's not stood on the top step since our opening weekend at Estoril in Portugal. But the Italian flag waving in Italy for the Italian rider Lorenzo Pertelli. What a race it was for the 67. And well, where better to do it than in front of your fans, in front of your family, and in front of your team at home here at Misano as Fernando Bahosa comes into pit lane. P3, a solid race here for him. I don't think he's been too disappointed with that. still leading the championship, of course, as, well, he now makes his way into Parc Ferme, where the celebrations will begin for ETC Race 1. So, looking nice and calm, I think it's fair to say. You'll go and get Wade, and then the talk will start with the team. Of course, Wade with his full kit on, his levers still on, his gloves, his helmet, as your race winner slots into the P1 spot. Carlos Cano stands up, and the celebrations will begin in just a few moments' time. A hug, a handshake, and he'll go and get checked. Just make sure everything is correct to his weight. And then, of course, the debrief will begin. Have a little look at this one. Carlos Cano, you can just see how much that front end was moving about. And, well, he got it stopped, and that's the main thing over at turn 14, and didn't run wide. That allowed Carlos Cano to head into the final corner with a nice, comfortable advantage and storm his way towards the checker flag. Race 1 victory went the way of the number 1. Pertelli followed behind. It's going to be quick celebrations, you would say, for Pertelli, because his eyes, I think, are going to be set maybe one step further up on the podium, but you can see how much it means for his team. Stand-up celebrations for a stand-up ride. What a race we just had. You can see now in Parc Ferme, they can begin the celebrations well and truly. Team boss down there as well, absolutely elated, to say the very least. Brian Uriarte as well, a nice little handshake. Of course, Uriarte and Carlos Cano both will be back in action with ETC and JuniorGP, both having 2 races this weekend. Just speaking about that ride, speaking about how tricky it was out on circuit, and luckily we'll get to hear from Carlos Cano in just a few moments' time, once he has his helmet taken off and he can speak to Jack down in pit lane. But a nice quick drink for him. Just getting his fluids back in after what has been a very, very hot race. The 45 and the 46, a 3-second penalty for track limits. So that is going to be Alvaro Lucas who gets that penalty, and of course Alex Longarella. So back down to P8 and P10 for them. More on that soon, because, well, we are just a few moments away as the photos for social media get taken to hear from your race winner, from Carlos Cano.
Number 1.
Number 1 in the team's eyes, but I'm sure he'll want to convert that into an official P1 later on. Of course, we'll hear from them in Parc Ferme, and then they'll head up on their podiums for the celebrations to well and truly begin before it's back to the debriefs for race 2 this afternoon. But the fans have been well and truly treated here at Misano. So some incredible action so far here today. Hopefully that continues for them. I'm sure it will here on the Adriatic coast. But standing into positions, we see confirmation for those 3-second track limit penalties. Standing in position is your race winner. So we'll hear from Carlos Cano down in Parc Ferme. He's speaking to Jack after an impressive race 1.
Carlos, what a race that was. 15 laps of non-stop action. Just talk us through it from your point of view.
Yes, I am very happy for this second win here. And well, I don't show my words to describe this race, because I'm working very hard with my team this weekend. And the last lap, I do my best. I try to go only, but very difficult. And yeah. Now I have another race. I try to do the same, and well, I am very happy. I thank people who support me, my team, my family, my trains. Yes, crazy.
Carlos, congratulations. Good luck this afternoon.
Thank you.
Well, a look back at what went on there. Carlos Cano was your winner, but how did he do it? Well, this is how. Fernando Bajosa led the early laps with some moves being made further down the order, with well, Borelli getting involved in the mix. So number 7 briefly hit the front before Bahosa responded. A big moment there for the number 4 team as he ran a little bit wide, but he soon composed himself yet again. Carlos Cano dropped back down to P4, eventually working his way back into the podium positions. It wasn't the start maybe we did hope for, but he soon composed himself out on the circuit. Alvaro Lucas began to make his way towards the podium positions, but there was a few opportunities that he went on to the green. This would eventually build up. He would later receive a free second time penalty, as would Longarella. But moves are being made at every single opportunity. Carlos Cano eventually hit the front, looking dominant in P1. It was very difficult to find a way through. He knew exactly what he had to do. Ramadipa, a massive moment at turn 4, somehow staying on. He would later have contact at turn 8, still remaining on the machine. We did have a crash though further down the order on the exit of turn 6. Luckily, the rider would be okay. The fighting would continue, and this crash as well for Nativi, number 9. That would be the end to his race 1, with moves continuing to be made from Longarella, battling from outside of the top 20. But, well, track limits would prove to pave his race, and it's something we will be speaking about all the way through the rest of the season. You can see Alvaro Lucas on exceeding track limits there in the background. But Carlos Cano, he lined up a move and he made it work, passing the number 67 of Borelli, dropping him back as he charged to the line ahead and to claim P1. He closes in the championship fight with Pratelli finishing just behind, standing on the podium yet again. And now it's time for the podium celebrations to begin here at Misano. Team member, of course, first up for the 72 Art Box Racing team. Fernando Bahosa now out onto the podium, of course, just some fizzy water for the riders, but still an opportunity to enjoy, and well, it shouldn't make the leather smell, unlike champagne. Now, second position, an incredible ride yet again, as we said, at home. But P1 does go the way of Carlos Cano. So Carlos Cano takes P1. And we're not too far from hearing the national anthem ring out once more of Spain. First though, the trophies. Handed by the Vice President of the FIM Europe. With 72 Art Box Racing, a great day so far for them. Fernando Bahosa next up, he'll add that one to his collection in 2025. Bahosa, of course, still leads the championship. 3 wins so far to his name. Lorenzo Pratelli waves the trophy in success as well. The P1 trophy now is handed out to Carlos Cano, up in the air, and the celebrations begin. This is a win that means so much for Carlos and for Lorenzo, of course. Fernando Bahosa, I'm sure he'll still enjoy the celebrations here with his rivals on the track, but his friends off it. A great field that we have this year in the ATC. Have a little drink as well, because that one was a hot race. Some hot action on the track, and well, we still have it all to enjoy in race 2 later this afternoon. Still more ETC action to come your way here at Misano, so make sure you stay tuned. Now, a look at the results after that one, because, well, where do we start? Carlos Cano is your winner. Just over a 10th and a half ahead of Lorenzo Pratelli, with Fernando Bahosa and Car pushing rounded out your top 4. Ramadipa takes P5 with Tassini and Alvaro Lucas taking P6 and 7. Lucas, of course, being given that free second time penalty, as did Alex Longarella. Track limits gave them free second time penalties. P10 for him ahead of Eduardo Gutierrez and Travis Borg, with Galan Osorio and Di Veroli rounding out our top 15. Dakagan just missing out on points here, with Izan Rodriguez rounding out our top 20 ahead of Iker Rodriguez in P21. Evan Boxberger, after fighting in the last chance race, he was up to P23 here in Misano. He'll be looking to make some inroads later on in race 2. However, we did lose a couple of riders out of race 1, with Miroslav Nativi and Savino all crashing out, as did Mikey Luz Sanchez, who was the first of our followers. So disappointing for the American, but still another opportunity later on in race 2. Now the championship standings, how things look ahead of race 2 here in Italy. Fernando Bajosa leads the way. 10 points is the advantage over Alex Longarella. Carlos Cano up inside the top 3 in the championship ahead of Alvaro Lucas, with Ramadipa rounding out our top 5. 15 points though separating your top 4 in this incredible ETC title fight. Crateville is your top 10 in the championship. Of course, not racing this weekend. He's got NTC duties to attend to over in Acid, with Christian Borelli all the way up to P11 in standings, picking up 3 championship places after an incredible ride, fighting in the front all the way through. Gineth losing a little bit of ground as Lorenzo Pertelli makes his presence known and is becoming to be a rider to beat here in ETC. The Italian in front of his home crowd, P19 championship, of course, his first points of the year, and no wonder what a ride it was. Evan Boxberger now drops to P26 in the standings. Still though, loads to look forward to this afternoon. ETC race 2 coming up. Still a chance for championship points to change, and still a chance for the likes of Longarella, Lucas, or even Pertelli. Can he stand on the top step later on? We're not going to have to wait too long to find out. So make sure you join us then, because what an afternoon of racing we're having, and what an ETC race one it was. Carlos Cano is your winner, P1 for the number 1.